Pokemon Discovery and Tencent, oh my. What up, viewers? What up, what up? Calc Soups here, and today is Friday, August 5th, and that means it's time for a quick recap of the week in video game news. Like I said, we had a Pokemon Direct, a Pokemon Presents this week, and besides watching the 20-minute breakdown of everything that's coming to Pokemon, I just was really just scratching my head on like, there's just so many ways that you can interact with Pokemon nowadays. I'm kind of glad that they have kind of their own directs or presents because like a Nintendo Direct dedicated to it wouldn't necessarily do it justice, and it wouldn't feel right folded into something else because Pokemon is very dominant IP, as well as just there's so many different ways that you can interact with it. So like I said, you can watch the 20-minute Pokemon Presents. I'll have a link down below to the description, and I'll only be doing like a brief oversight. But the couple things that I wanted to talk about were the Pokemon cooking game, which I didn't know. Is this Pokemon Home? I couldn't quite remember. Like, and it's not where you're cooking Pokemon. It is where you are cooking as Pokemon. But I've been so out of the loop. I don't know if this is already like. It sounded like this was already a game. They were talking about leveling up Pokemon that way. So I didn't know anything about it, so I was just kind of curious what's going on with that game, what it is, how long it's been out. Is this part of Pokemon Home, that thing that I don't engage with? But yeah, caught my eye. Just kind of curious about this Pokemon cooking game. One of the other things they talked about was Pokemon Unite. There's a new character coming to Pokemon Unite, and I haven't even thought about Pokemon Unite in quite some time. The Pokemon MOBA. I think me and my friends actually kind of enjoyed, but we just kind of fell off the wagon there. There was like an all in celebration of Pokemon. There was like an all Pikachu mode that was coming out to Pokemon Unite. It looked pretty fun. But yeah, I thought, it kind of made me think that I should probably re-engage with Pokemon Unite, see what the state of the game is nowadays. So yeah, and I really enjoyed my time with it back then. Moving right along, they announced their Pokemon Fan Fest that's going to be in London, and that was kind of what really surprised me. Was like there's a whole bunch of championships and a bunch of tournaments going on for the Pokemon TCG tradable card game. There was the Pokemon there was Pokken Tournament. There was just Pokemon battles being performed in the latest Pokemon game. So that was where I was just like, oh, this is all coming to a head. There's totally a bajillion different ways that you can engage with Pokemon. There's a lot of ways you can compete in Pokemon. And yeah, it just kind of was really surprising to see all the Pokemon stuff that's coming to the London Fan Expo that they announced. And then the piece de la resistance of the Pokemon Presents was talking a little bit more and showing a little bit of gameplay for Scarlet and Violet. They talked about the two new creatures. I forget what their names were, like Mirrodin and Auradin or something like that. But the distinction I saw, and I'm wondering if this kind of holds true to Scarlet versus Violet, was like there was a creature-based Pokemon, like it was more of a monstrous creature type of kind of Pokemon, and then there was a more robotic Pokemon. So I'm wondering if this is like nature versus robotics, kind of. Maybe that's the clash between the two, because there's always kind of like a little bit of a clash between the two. You had the Sword and Shield in Sword and Shield, yeah, and so they're just kind of like two different philosophies interacting. That'll look cool. They also showed off a little bit of the traversal, so you'll actually like be able to traverse the world with the new Pokemon. They looked a little corny as like they have like giant wheels at the front and back of them, so they're like they're basically motorcycles, like the ancient bike from Breath of the Wild. I thought it looked a little bit cheesy, but Pokemon. There's plenty of probably Pokemon you can point to and say that's a little cheesy. So probably not anything new there. But the big thing that I saw a bunch of articles on was talking about the co-op. I'm looking forward to potentially exploring the world of Paldea. Paldea, do I have that right? Exploring Paldea with friends. I thought that's a pretty cool idea. That's the next kind of iteration from Pokemon Legends Arceus, is like bringing in co-op. You're gonna have open world exploration. You have the traversal mechanics. That was another big thing that I think they're coming over from Arceus. And now you can play it co-op, like hopefully full co-op. Like you can run around separately and like meet back up, as opposed to the kind of like hamstrung co-op that they kind of had, where like two players are playing just then like one player only exists within the battle sequence. So yeah, I think the co-op could be a big upgrade brought to the Pokemon series. So I think that's what I saw a lot of articles about this week. But there was quite a lot in the crammed into the 20-minute Pokemon presents. So if you thought I forgot anything, feel free to leave a comment down below. Moving right along, Riot talked a little bit more about their fighter game, the League of Legends based fighter game. I forgot that they're going into the fighting space. They've already entered the CS:GO shooter space. They've got the MOBA, of course. They've got an auto battler. So why not just jump into another arena with the Project L, their fighter game? So they talked about it this week, that it's going to be free to play. They're also expanding the roster a little bit, but I think the big takeaway was that it's going free to play. I'm curious what free to play means in like the fighter genre. I mean, typically we're used to paying $60 to get Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat, and they're going to enter with free to play. I'm curious if you have to pay to unlock characters, kind of like you do in League of Legends, which would make a lot of sense because that's their bread and butter. But it'd be really curious, or if there's a battle pass where you unlock characters. That's probably a little bit more passe nowadays. So yeah, I'm really curious what free to play means in the fighter genre, and how you'll get more characters, how you have to pay for them. Hopefully it's not like buying fighter bundles for like $5 and it slowly adds up to $60 as you buy more and more fighters. But they've got tons of characters to make into fighting, so I'm kind of excited to see the characters' move sets and see kind of some of the big flashy ultimates that we're used to in Riot games. So I'm looking forward to them, bringing more of the League of Legends IP in that you didn't quite have in Valorant. Discovery seems to be making a lot of weird decisions this week. I think they've popped up almost in every aspect of their business that they're now involved in. I don't think that the Multiversus Season 1 delay has anything to do with Discovery, but I did see this week it was kind of coincidental that as Discovery is making some pretty weird decisions from on high, that the Multiversus Season 1 delay was announced. The developers said that they don't have a distinct date when they'll pick back up with Season 1, but that also includes not adding, I think people were really excited to get Morty from Rick and Morty into the Multiversus fighters. So I'm just kind of curious if this has anything to do with Discovery and how this is being managed. And I assume it's actually, I saw articles this week talking about 1 million players already. So I think it's off to a good start. So I'd be really surprised if they're like downgrading it or downshifting it at all. So yeah, I'm really curious. Indie darling Crypt of the Necrodancer is getting a sequel, announced at the end of their trailer for their upcoming and probably biggest DLC. Was announced for Rift of the Necrodancer, which is a sequel coming next year. So it was pretty cool to see that kind of tacked on in the end. I played the Legend of Zelda Crypt of the Necrodancer spinoff. I forgot what that was called, but I really enjoyed that. Hopefully, I'm kind of looking forward to jumping into Rift of the Necrodancer. I think the new DLC will have full co-op, so I might actually jump into Crypt of the Necrodancer and play it with some co-op partners, some co-op friends. So that could be really fun to kind of play through full co-op. So, but a sequel was announced, and I'm excited for. Like I said, indie darling. I'm really into indies right now, and I think there's a lot of really cool stuff going on in the indie space. So Rift of the Necrodancer, really excited for a sequel in that space. It's been quite a while, but I know they've been supporting Crypt of the Necrodancer with a lot of DLC. And so to see kind of a sequel announced at the end of their trailer. Sony is shaking in its boots, its metaphorical boots this week. They announced that they are kind of fearful for something that could bring Xbox back into the console wars. I know that they've been lagging behind PlayStation 5 with console sales. But Sony announced this week that they are scared that if Call of Duty goes exclusive, what that would mean for PlayStation sales. And I could definitely see this making a big dent in sales. I don't know that it's going to bring them back from the brink. I think PS5s are outselling Xbox Series X's and S's like 2-1 or something like that. So it's not quite. I don't think this is something they're going to come back from. But Sony said that this could make an impact to their hardware sales, and I definitely could see that. I know that Call of Duty is kind of declining in recent years, and hopefully Microsoft's oversight will prevent some of that decline. But yeah, Sony had a really cool article, or I saw an articles this week about how Sony is a little bit scared of what the world would look like if Call of Duty was exclusive, which I could definitely see having a big impact. And yeah, I think that a lot of people would forecast and build their models differently if that were the case. Nothing has been announced yet, but I could definitely see you don't make a big Activision purchase like that if you don't intend to potentially make it exclusive. So I could definitely see this being a big deal and rocking the games industry as we know it. Speaking of consoles, Tencent and Logitech are going in on potentially entering the console market themselves, using Logitech cards. They're going to and PC parts. They're going to try and make a new console to wade into the console wars. I think this is. I think a lot of really big companies have made bets on their own consoles before, and Tencent and Logitech are pretty big companies, but we haven't really heard of too many success stories in that space. So I'd be really curious how they plan to do something different, and potentially could be a big deal. But I probably wouldn't put too much. I probably wouldn't bank too much of my own money on this being success, because just the track record of PC companies kind of jumping into the console space to try and build up their own. The key is going to be content now. Depending on Logitech's partnership with NVIDIA and getting NVIDIA like Shield up and running, and their, I forget what NVIDIA's streaming service is called, but getting that on there might help. But it's always going to be, it's all content is king. So they better have some exclusive content. Hopefully they're making games for it now that are going to launch with the title. Otherwise it's just going to be kind of this piece of hardware that you can play anything else, that you can play all the typical things. You're probably going to be able to play Fortnite and Ubisoft games on it, but you can do that on the console you already own. So kind of a little bit of an uphill battle there. But there's a lot of money behind it with Tencent, and Logitech makes a lot of really good PC peripherals and PC related hardware. So I could definitely see something good coming out of it. Ubisoft is kind of undergoing a slight hostile takeover. The Tencent is buying more and more shares, and trying to kind of get to a massive part where they're now in control of Ubisoft. So Ubisoft has been in this boat before. They fought off Vivendi, and eventually Vivendi kind of left as Ubisoft shored up and defended itself against an acquisition. But Tencent's got a lot of money, and they can potentially make a really bbig move. So even if prices go up, I bet they can afford it. So Tencent already owns Epic and Riot, so they've got some pretty big things under their belt. Ubisoft would kind of round out their profile, I guess, with action adventure games. But Ubisoft knows what they're doing, and they've fended off a takeover before. So hopefully this is more Vivendi part 2, and not a successful takeover, because I kind of like what Ubisoft kind of being over there, being their own thing, as opposed to these big media conglomerates. Although I just praised Microsoft for Activision Blizzard buyout, so it takes all kinds, I guess. Moving right along, Sony has started up its summer sale this week. So if you were looking to pick up any games that have kind of launched in the first half of this year, to get you through until Q3, Q4, till the end of Q3 and onto Q4, when the handful of video games that are actually launching this year come out, then now is the time. If you've got your PlayStation up, feel free to check out that store. And yeah, like I said, most games that have come out in the past 6 months had some pretty deep discounts. So I think you might be able to get Elden Ring, and that would definitely keep you going until Q4 launches start coming out. So feel free to check those out and let me know what you pick up down below in the comments. Saw a pretty cool trailer, or pretty cool announce for the next game from Behavior Interactive. Behavior Interactive being the publisher behind Dead by Daylight. The new 2023 title that they're working on is Meet Your Maker, and you build a base to defend your I remember, like, essence, defend your like DNA code. You're trying to build a base and big kind of a tower defense kind of base building game, and then you have to go invade other people's bases. So felt a little bit like Orcs Must Die and like the tower defense, but you're doing both the invading of other people's bases as well as building your own supreme base. I thought it was a really cool concept, and so I wanted to talk about it. I'll have a link down below to the trailer this week, so let me know what you think. And last but certainly not least, this week, there was a trailer for the Cyberpunk Anime coming to Netflix, and I am really surprised that there wasn't a photosensitivity warning at the beginning of the video, because there is a lot going on in that trailer. I'm not typically into animes, so but Cyberpunk maybe makes me a little bit more interested. But the trailer was just jam-packed full of all sorts of random crap going off, and different characters, and it was really hard to track. It was a pretty short trailer, but there was just a lot going on, and yeah, people who get seizures, beware, because there was quite a lot going on in that trailer. So you'll have to see it for yourself. I'll have a link down below to the trailer, but my God, there was that's all I can say about it. It was just there. It wasn't really intriguing. It was just a lot. So that's kind of all I can say about it. But let me know what you think of it down below in the comments. That's it for this week. If you feel I forgot anything, feel free to leave a comment down below, and we can talk all things video game news down there. As always, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this content. If you do, follow, like, and subscribe to me on YouTube and Twitch so you can see more great content like this. I'll have links down below in the description. Thanks again. I hope you have a super day. I hope you have a super weekend. And I hope you have a super day. Bye!